The sound of shovels hitting earth echoed through the night behind the abandoned cocoa warehouse in Arowa Town. Two figures worked frantically, their shadows dancing in the moonlight as they dug deeper into the red soil. The older woman wiped sweat from her brow and hissed at the younger one who stood frozen, staring at the wrapped bundle lying a few feet away. "Stop standing there like a statue. Help me dig faster before someone comes." Mama Lami's voice was sharp, cutting through the humid night air. Her daughter Lami trembled, tears streaming down her face as she looked at the bundle one more time. Inside that wrapper was Toba, the man who had loved her more than life itself, the man who had given everything for her dreams, the man whose last words still rang in her ears like a curse she could never escape. Just 6 months earlier, life had been completely different. Toba's small motorcycle repair shop sat at the corner of a busy street in Arowa Town, a modest space with a faded. Something in her voice, a loneliness that mirrored his own, made Toba's heart ache with recognition. From that moment, he knew he wanted to know everything about this young woman with the sad eyes and hopeful smile. Over the next few weeks, Toba found reasons to visit Mama Lami's grinding machine shop, offering to check on the repairs he had made, ensuring everything was working smoothly. Lami was always there, helping her mother, and each visit stretched longer than the last. They began talking, really talking, about their lives, their dreams, their fears. Lami told him she was 22 years old and had finished secondary school 2 years ago, but couldn't afford to continue her education. She spoke about wanting to study business administration, about wanting to be more than just a market woman like her mother, about dreams that seemed impossibly far away. "Education is the only ladder out of poverty," she would say, her eyes distant as if she could see that future just beyond he. "Toba, this is too much. Where did you get all this money? What did you do?" She was crying so hard she could barely speak, clutching the envelope to her chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. He smiled, though his own eyes were wet. "Don't worry about where it came from. Just promise me you'll work hard and make all this sacrifice worth it. Promise me, Lami." "I promise. I swear on everything, Toba. It'll make you so proud. It'll be the best student in my department. It'll never disappoint you." She hugged him fiercely, and in that moment, Toba felt like the richest man in Arowa Town. But Orem State Polytechnic was a different world entirely, a world Toba couldn't have prepared Lami for even if he had tried. The campus was sprawling and modern, with buildings that gleamed in the sunlight and students who moved with the confidence that comes from never having worried about money. On her first day, Lami walked through the gates with her small bag and worn shoes immediate. Lami first met Mr. Dairo on an ordinary afternoon when she was sitting with her friends at a small campus restaurant. He approached their table with the confidence of a man who owned half the town. His expensive cologne filled the air, and his voice carried the kind of power money brings. "Lami," she said softly when he asked her name. "Lami," he repeated, smiling. A beautiful name for a beautiful woman. He placed his business card on the table and walked away, leaving her friends buzzing with excitement. They told her he was one of the richest men in the state, owner of hotels, construction companies, everything. That night, Lami lay in bed thinking about two men, Toba, her loyal boyfriend working late in his small mechanic workshop, sweating under a dim light bulb, counting small naira notes just to support her, and Mr. Dairo, a wealthy man who lived in effortless luxury. She told herself she would never call. But 3 days later, after being mocked for her worn-out shoes, she dialed Mr. Dairo's number. Lunch turned into dinner, dinner turned into gifts, gifts turned into weekend getaways in expensive hotels. He showered her with clothes, jewelry, and the latest phone. She didn't notice herself changing, but everyone else did. She stopped answering Toba's calls, grew cold, distant, and uninterested. When Mama Lami visited, she immediately noticed her daughter's transformation. The new clothes, the expensive phone. "Where did all this come from?" she asked. Lami avoided her eyes. "Someone is helping me," she whispered. "A rich man," Mama Lami concluded. And instead of correcting her, she encouraged her. "Use your head, child. Toba is good, but he is poor. Men like him are everywhere. Men like Mr. Dairo come once in a lifetime." When Toba finally saved enough money to visit Lami on campus, she didn't even let him enter. She met him outside the gate. He wore his best shirt, and he held a small wrapped gift for her. But she felt embarrassed standing beside him. "Lami, what's happening?" he asked, his voice breaking. "Have I done something wrong?" She shook her head coldly. "Toba, I've changed. We're not compatible anymore. His face fell apart. He tried reminding her of everything he had sacrificed, even the land he sold for her schooling. But she snapped, telling him she never asked for any of it. Students passing by stared, and shame burned through her. She walked away while he called her name, refusing to look back. Things got worse when Mr. Dairo told her, "I don't share. No distractions. Not even old boyfriends." Mama Lami became worried that Toba might talk, that he might expose everything and ruin Lami's chances of securing the good life ahead. Her voice was cold when she said, "Sometimes, to move forward, you must bury the past so it cannot haunt you." A plan was made. Warehouse behind her mother's shop. Toba showed the text to his friend Kunnel with excitement. He even revealed a small silver ring he'd bought. He was planning to propose. Kunnel warned him something felt off, but Toba was full of hope. The next night, Toba arrived dressed in his best clothes, holding the ring. Lami and her mother were waiting in the shadows. Mama Lami offered him a drink, Fanta mixed with crushed sleeping pills. He drank it gratefully. As it took effect, he turned to Lami, struggling to speak. "I love you." "I wanted to." He tried to stand but collapsed. He reached for the ring, which slid from the box and hit the ground. His eyes widened as realization hit him. "Lami, why?" he whispered. Lami cried, shaking, but she didn't stop her mother. She didn't call for help. Mama Lami took Lami's scarf, the one Toba had bought for her, and wrapped it tightly around his neck. Toba's weak eyes stayed on Lami until they dimmed completely. What they didn't. And then they closed forever. In the distance, hidden behind a tree, Sua had been taking a shortcut home when she heard voices. She watched in frozen horror as they buried him, unable to move, unable to scream, her hand clamped over her own mouth to keep from making a sound. When they finally left, she ran home and vomited until there was nothing left inside her. The haunting started that very night. Sua couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't function. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Toba's face, saw him pointing at the warehouse, heard him whisper, "Please, don't let my story die." She lost weight rapidly, became a ghost herself, until finally she broke and told her pastor everything. The police came, dug up the body, found the evidence. Poison in his system, fibers from the scarf around his neck, text messages on his phone from Lami. The arrest was swift. Mr. Dairo, when Lami called him crying from the police station, listened to her pleas and simply said, "I don't know who you are," and hung up. In court, the judge looked at Lami with such contempt it was worse than any prison sentence. "You took a man who loved you, who gave you everything, who sold his future for yours, and you murdered him. Not for survival, not for protection, but for greed, for comfort, for things." His voice shook with rage. "Life imprisonment with hard labor. May you have many years to remember what you threw away." As the guards led them away, Mama Lami was still cursing, still defiant. But Lami looked back at the courtroom one last time and saw Toba's photograph, held by Kunnel in the gallery. And she knew that for the rest of her life, in that cell, in that prison of her own making, she would see those eyes, full of love and betrayal, asking the question that had no answer. Why? After everything, why? Toba's workshop became a memorial. And at night, Sua finally slept peacefully because she had kept her promise. She had made sure his story didn't die. And in her dreams, just once more, Toba appeared, no longer sad, no longer pointing, just smiling gently before fading into light. His story had been told. Justice had been served. And his sacrifice, though it had cost him everything, had taught a lesson that would echo through Arowa Town for generations. Love without wisdom is dangerous. Ambition without conscience is deadly. And silence in the face of evil makes you part of the darkness.